Though it had been around for ages, leprosy grew into a pandemic in Europe in the Middle Ages. A slow-developing bacterial disease that causes sores and deformities, leprosy was believed to be a punishment from God that ran in families. Black Death second pandemic, caused by the bubonic plague, had its onset in 1350. It may have reduced the world population from an estimated 475 million to 350 to 375 million in the 14th century, resulting in deaths of up to 75 to 200 million people in Eurasia and North Africa. In another devastating appearance, the bubonic plague led to deaths of 20% of London's population. This is referred to as the Great Plague of London, which happened in 1665. The worst of the outbreak tapered off in the fall of 1666, around the same time as another destructive event, the Great Fire of London. The first of 7 cholera pandemics over the next 150 years started in 1817 all through to 1824. This wave of small intestine infection originated in Russia, where 1 million people died. Spread in through feces, infected water and food, the bacterium was passed along to British soldiers who brought it to India, where millions more died. The Russian flu started in 1889. The first significant flu pandemic started in Siberia and Kazakhstan, traveled to Moscow and made its way into Finland and then Poland, where it moved into the rest of Europe. By the end of 1890, 360,000 had died. It killed about 1 million people worldwide. Fortunately, on its next visit at the US several years later, a large portion of the population was immune, having been exposed to it during its first visit. The 1918 influenza pandemic was the most severe pandemic in recent history. It was caused by an H1N1 virus with genes of avian origin. The 1918 flu was first observed in Europe, the United States and parts of Asia before spreading around the world. In the United States, it was first identified in military personnel in spring 1918. At the time, there were no effective drugs or vaccines to treat killer flu strain. It is estimated that about 500 million people, or 1/3 of the world's population, became infected with this virus. The number of deaths was estimated to be at least 50 million worldwide, with about 675,000 occurring in the United States. It lasted from January 1918 to December 1920. Starting in Hong Kong and spreading throughout China and then into the United States, the Asian flu became widespread in England, where, over 6 months, 14,000 people died. A second wave followed in early 1958, causing about 1.1 million deaths globally, with 116,000 deaths in the United States alone. By the time the virus reached the US, the country already had a vaccine made by Dr. Maurice Hilleman, the chief of respiratory diseases at the Walter Reed Arney Institute of Research in Washington, D.C. First identified in 1981, AIDS destroys a person's immune system, resulting in eventual death by diseases that the body would usually fight off. AIDS was first observed in American gay communities, but is believed to have developed formed chimpanzee virus from West Africa in the 1920s. Treatments have been developed to slow the progress of the disease, but 35 million people have died of AIDS since its discovery. Caused by SARS coronavirus, SARS-CoV, virus first identified in 2003. Severe acute respiratory syndrome is believed to have started with bats, spread to cats and then to humans in China, followed by 26 other countries, infecting 8.096 people, with 774 deaths. COVID-19 is caused by a novel coronavirus, the family of viruses that includes the common flu and SARS. The first reported case in China appeared in November 2019, in the Hubei province. Without a vaccine available, the virus has spread to more than 163 countries. By March 27, 2020, nearly 24,000 people had died.